The thing that was hilarious was I texted being like, I'm so sorry, I'm ashamed. And they wrote back like, oh, dude, we all get out of control sometimes. It was fun. Crazy night. That was fun. And I was like, oh, geez, these girls are wild. And then I like flew across the country, airplane mode, whatever. And what I didn't realize is they had gone to work. So this happened after they had left for work, which is the most insane part of the story is like I was shitting in a shoe like during the daytime. It was like, it must have been like 9 o'clock in the morning.
It was a nice day.
Yeah. So they came home to this and we're like, what? And then the text was like, we had no idea how bad this was. This is crazy. Oh my God. And I was like, that makes more sense. I was like, this is a better reaction.
What's up, dudes? We got a great episode with Joe List coming up for you. It's a really fun listen. He's a great guy. Super funny. You guys are going to love it. But first, before we get started, I got to do the fucking whatever the fucks. So we got a tour coming up. We're coming to a town near you. Boston, New York, Denver, Chicago. Chicago sold out, but Nashville, and then Atlanta and Salt Lake City. Tickets are going fast. We got a late show in Boston, and the first show sold out, so those tickets are going to go fast. So get on it now, chadandjt.com. Same with New York. We got one show. I don't think they'll add a late show because it's Gramercy Theater, so get on that now, chadandjt.com. We're also brought to you by the legends at Prize Picks. What up, Prize Picks? Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the pod. You guys are legends. It's the easiest and fastest way to play daily fantasy sports. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code GODEEP. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code GODEEP at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. We're also brought to you by the legends at Manscaped. Manscaped, thank you so much for keeping our trims pubed, for looking after our hogs, for making sure that our dinks are looking fresh and clean, because Michael Myers is going to cut off your dink unless you manscape it. So make sure you do that with the promo code GODEEP, or they're seriously going to cut off your dink, dude. And you do not want that to happen because he's a guy with a hockey mask and a big-ass mask, or big-ass knife. Fuck. So get 20% off plus free shipping with the code GODEEP at manscaped.com. And say trick or treat to your beautiful new Halloweeny with Manscaped. All right, let's start the show. What's with me?
Like sometimes I'll just tweet and I'll just write like, this tweet is going to really help me.
Right.
Just so I have something, somebody's looking at something, like there's numbers growing. But yeah, it's hard. I've always tried to approach it of like, I will post something when I have something. But now it feels more like I have to post something.
Right.
Which is not great for art, obviously.
Yeah, you got to, so I remember I used to do like daily like stories on Instagram. And I just burnt out so quickly from that. After like a year or two, I was like, not daily, it would be like every other day, but it was just like the ideas and stuff. I was like, I don't think I have any other, it was like a whole like self-improvement thing. I'm like, I don't think I have any ideas left.
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, I don't have that much to say. It's just like hours and hours of podcasts and stand-up or whatever else. And you're like, yeah, I'm just out of, right. I got nothing. I need something to happen. Let me go walk around until something happens.
I try to like generate opinions and stuff. I'm like, let me like watch this news clip.
Yeah, and then you say something, and then people are like, "Are you crazy? That guy's a Nazi." And you're like, "Shit, I didn't do the full research."
I have a hangover after every podcast we do because I'll drive home, like a vulnerability hangover, and I'll be like, "What the fuck did I just say?" I'm like, I talked about my ex-girlfriend. I was kind of rude. Like, I didn't say her name, but if she listens, she'll know it's her. And then I'll be like, and then I talked about like Pakistan. Like, I don't know anything about Pakistan, but it's like if someone lobs a question at you, you feel like your number one job is to be interesting. So.
No, I have that feeling all the time. And I was just talking about this earlier. Like, I remember I've done Rogan a couple of times. And the first time I did it, like I was staying in Sherman Oaks out here in LA. And I remember just like walking up the sidewalk feeling like jelly. Like, I feel like I was on like heroin because it's like a 3-hour show. And I'm like, what did I, and you can't even possibly remember all the things you talked about. And I remember just feeling like I was in like underwater, being like, that was like crazy.
Right.
And you have to be on for all of those 3 hours. Like you're like, were you were you relaxed or was your body hyped up?
No, I was like jacked up, and like, you know, and Joe's kind of intense. I mean, he's so sweet and thoughtful, but he's also like a big guy, and he's making eye contact with you. So I'm like, I'm just trying to listen and think of something, and then I'm like, I got like commenters in my head. And at the same time, you're like, I'm supposed to have lunch in an hour. I don't know. And it's just too much. It's like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, because
It's
there's
hard.
always those two voices too, right? There's like the voice you're speaking with, and then there's like the director voice in the back that's like, all right, I'm talking about this now. Maybe I'll segue into this, and then maybe I should be authentic here, and then jokey here, and then it's hard sometimes to when you're running both of those to just I don't know, be yourself at all too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're like, even in this moment, I was like, oh, I could. That reminds me of this thing, and it's already passed. So I'm like, oh shit, I don't remember.
Yeah,
what it's
say
gonna
that
be.
thing. That thing.
I
That
was
thing's
like,
gonna be a hit.
It's gonna be something.
We
But
need a clip. Give us that clip.
It is. It's like your head is just spinning and trying to listen and come up with something clever to say, and then sometimes you're just like, yeah. And then people are like, that sucked.
Yeah.
You just folded. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I couldn't. I don't know.
I wish that was a more suitable answer for podcasting where I could just be like, yeah, for sure, dude. Because in a regular hang, you would do that. You can just check out for an hour and be like, I'll just be a bystander for a while and see how it goes.
Yeah, you look like a maniac when you're like this. I have nothing to say about that.
Well, I never had so much pressure to have opinions because I have older brothers and they always felt smarter than me.
Yeah.
So they always had the opinions and they're like, what do you think? I'm like, whatever he said. You know, it's like they were always a little bit smarter than me, so I would just sort of sit back and listen. You know what I mean? And now it's like I'm like, what's your opinion on that? That's why I liked your bit and your latest special about the masks and stuff.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
like whatever appeases that group.
No, I literally still feel that way. I've done this on airplanes where like I'm sitting next to somebody and they're watching CNN, so I like put on CNN and I'm like, yeah, and then like this guy has like Fox News on,
Yeah.
and so like I'll like look, and then I'm like, I'll switch over to just to be like, I watch it all. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't hate you or you.
Yeah, reach
I can
across
play
the aisle,
both. Yeah,
literally.
like, hey guys,
Yeah.
I'm cool. But I think like that actually that's what I was gonna say a minute ago. Is like when you're, I know me as a kid, as like a
Right.
child, like going into kindergarten the first day, like crying, being like, I can't go in here. I don't know these people. I'm nothing. So it's like you get some success and people like want to hear, oh, what's he have to say about this? We like his comedy or his thing. But you're like, I'm an idiot. I've never been
Yeah.
a guy that's like, here's how it is, folks. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Totally. I'm very like I always say I'm very susceptible to being in a cult, you know, because people just from either side can convince me. I'm like, that's a good point. That's a good point too, you know. So whenever people are like, what's your hard stance on things? I'm like, dude, I both ways. I don't fucking know. I like it. You know what I mean?
Which I do think is there's wisdom in, like that Buddhists talk about the middle path. Like
Yeah.
you should be somewhere in the middle on most, especially now as we're so.
Yeah, I think it's like I see both sides, so I don't.
I just had I always use it as an example. It was like years ago now, but they were talking about horses and carriages in New York, and I read this whole argument about like how inhumane it is, and the horses are treated like shit, and they
I've heard
live
this
on top
too.
of each other, and then it causes this horrible smell, and the guys hit them, and they don't make enough money, and like I was like, we gotta get rid. This is like crazy. And then I read this other article. It was like, what? This is like a staple of New York. It's old fashioned. People get. It's like a huge tourist trap, like attraction. Like what else would these guys do? A lot of these guys are immigrants. This is all they've ever done. You
Yeah.
put them out of work, and then you're just like, all right, I
And it's cynical.
don't know.
Yeah.
You got me.
It's cynical too, but like if they get rid of the horses, they're going to find some kind of replacement for that same sort of tourist experience. And whatever that is, in like 30 years, that'll have as many negative externalities as whatever the horses are doing now. Not that that means don't shut down the horses, but I'm like, the solution's going to be bad no matter what.
Yeah, I always picture them being like, I like vote and rally to get rid of them. And they're like, all right, well, we got to get these horses are useless now, and they're just like shooting them in the face. And you're like, what? No.
And they're
I
using
didn't-
like
I didn't realize that.
they're using humans to pull the carriages
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Like,
this is like human
overworked,
rickshaws.
people. They're like, this is better. This guy agreed to it.
Yeah, always with like any issue, you can. There's always like someone will have a good argument for either side. I'm like, oh, almost, yeah. So
Well, it's tough too. It's like comedians, because the best comedians are so good at it, like weighing in on the big issues and not adding like insight. But most comedians I know should not be weighing in on those things. But we're all aspiring to that, so we have to try, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that have, are just like shouting, and I'm like, I don't think you read enough.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right. I don't think
Yeah.
you're way off on this.
Have
But
you ever like had like I've had like a like kind of an idea that was like counter to whatever like the progressive prevailing idea was, and I would do it at like a show, and everyone who agreed with me kind of looked scary and mean, and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that bit because like everyone who's agreeing with me doesn't look like someone I want on my side.
yeah, or they tweet at you and they're like, that was awesome, and it's just them with like a machine gun pointing at the camera, and they have like an army helmet and like a swastika on their forehead, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I gotta change this bit.
Yeah.
This is no good.
I've been doing a bit about, because I grew up affluent, and I'll talk about it on stage. And when I first did it because I thought it was like risky, and I thought it would, maybe alienate people, but I could win them over at the end, which seemed fun for me.
Yeah.
But now I'll have kids come up to me after shows and they're like, hey man, I'm a rich kid and I really appreciate that you said that. I'm like, I didn't do it for you. I'm like, get away from me. Man.
Right. Yeah, you're like, oh, that's not what I was going for. But
I'm like
all
making
right.
them feel better about
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, it's funny when people drop like, because my favorite thing is just to be like goofy and fun or whatever, and people draw like political sort of like, oh, the meaning behind that is like, oh, you're like a shill for like big seatbelt or whatever, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, that's the best is when people start like breaking down what you were talking about. I've had people like say something a bit, and they're like, I love that you're talking about like the role that men are playing in the or something, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, that was like a funny thing that happened while I was having sex with my wife. There's no like greater thought into that.
Yeah, conspiratorial thinking is boosted right now. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, no, somebody that I made this movie, and a few people wrote like essay being like, this is actually about this thing, and I'm like, nope. I'm like, have fun with that. But
Yeah.
No, I was there. It was not about any of that.
Yeah. So your movie 4th of July came out it was July 4th. Did it come out on July 4th?
It came out July
2nd.
1st.
July 1st.
Yeah.
And how'd that come about? Were you writing the script, or did you team up with Louis beforehand? Like, how did that?
No, so I wrote, Louis and I are buddies, and we've been on the road together for years, whatever, and we're always been like movie nerd guys, and we'd always talk about stuff. And then I was kind of writing a movie on my own, and then I like gave it to him, like, hey, give me notes. And we went through the whole thing, and he was like, this is no good, this is great, whatever. And then I kind of was like, well, why don't we make it? We could make it. You could direct. We could shoot a thing. It'd be great.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, wait, we'll see. And it kind of just like didn't work out. And then some time passed, and then he called me and was like kind of pitching a movie idea he had. And I wasn't into it. I tried to be honest. I was like, oh, it doesn't sound like anything. I don't know. It's fine, whatever.
That's tough to do.
Yeah, it was just like, but you're like, well, that's what, I'm not helping if I'm like this. Yeah, do it. I wasn't like, this is bad. I just kind of was like, I don't know if it was like a musical, and I was like, just getting like the music is going to be hard. I just was like, I don't know.
Was it built around a band?
It was built around Bad Company. He wanted to do Mamma Mia, but for the band Bad Company.
I only know a couple of their songs. But they're
Yeah,
bangers.
Feel Like Making Love, doo-doo, bow.
And Bad.
And then they have an album, song, and band name, Bad Company, which
Yeah.
I remember that cracked me up when I first heard it. I was like, Bad Company. I'm like, they have a song with their own band name in it?
yes.
It felt a little too easy.
And then they had another one. Don't you know that you are a shooting star? Yeah, that one.
Don't you know?
So they were pretty big, but he was going through, and he's like, the guy will be like in the shower singing, and it's like, it just sounded not like something that was going to get made. So I was like, okay, I don't know. And then he was like, well, I want to do something. And then we started talking. We just started, and it ended up being like a 3-hour phone conversation. And by the end of it, we kind of had like some formation of it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then we just kept working it out.
Is it kind of autobiographical?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
extremely autobiographical.
Yeah, I love the movie. I related so
thanks.
much to I don't know if I want to get into it, but the giveaway plot, but the sponsee
Yeah.
because I've dabbled in AA.
Sure, yeah.
When I was younger, there was when I did it, for like, I was like 24, did it for like a couple of years. And then I had a sponsor, and then he's like, it's time for you to get a sponsee. And I was like, oh, that's my cue. I'm out.
It is. It's hard. Yeah, you're definitely like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, 'cause I was like 24. I'm like, what am I gonna? I don't even know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a hard part of it, and we tried to put that in there, and it's been nice because a lot of people in recovery have reached out and been like, you really nailed this, which meant a lot to me because I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Because so often you see like AA meetings portrayed in movies, and it's just like somebody crying, and everyone's like, oh, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to get those other details where you're like, I don't want to do that. That sucks.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't overdo it with like the profoundness of it. Like,
Yeah.
Because there's other movies. It's always the saving grace in the movie, right? It's like they turn in by the end, and that's like you're like, oh, okay, they're okay. They made it to AA.
Yeah, it was fun. There was also like, again, like I don't want to give away too much. If people haven't seen it, you can go get it. 4thofjulymovie.com or louisck.com. It's harder to navigate if you don't go directly to it, I guess. But a bunch of people after the movie were like, we thought for sure he was going to relapse. We thought that was going to be. And I was like, oh, we never even like considered that because it was autobiographical.
Yeah.
I mean, I relapsed plenty of years ago, but that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But yeah, we tried to get that right, and I'm glad people identify with it.
No, totally. Yeah, there's sort of like a for me, like being in AA is I was sort of like, no, I'm in here for selfish reasons. I don't want to start being selfless and like lead meetings and like mentor some kid, like because I guess for me too, I was sort of like, which I think a lot of people have is like, I was like, I don't even know if I deserve to be here because I was so young, and like I feel like that's a common thing of like, I haven't like earned it a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that have that everywhere in every aspect of life. But
yes.
yeah, that also can kill somebody because like, I don't know, I don't think I'm an addict, and then they're like, let me go back out there and see,
Really,
and
right.
I can
Get some more.
wreck a car, and die.
Yeah. Like, all right, I've earned it.
Which I'm saying as I like laugh. Sorry, it's very serious, but
Well, there is that too. Like I've been to recovery meetings, but for like sex stuff, and like the coolest guy. It's always the coolest people are always the people who are working their recovery the hardest, but also who have like the most like incredible backstory. You know?
yeah.
Like when someone talks in the meeting, they're like, "I was doing this in '78." You're like, "This fucking guy rips, man. I want to get close to this dude."
Yeah, it's hard. There's definitely that. We were like, that sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I get that all the time. People being like, I wish I could have drank with you. And I'm like, well, it wasn't great. Like,
Like I'm here now.
Shit on the floor. Like it was a bummer.
I remember that story from your podcast.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I would like jump on people's windshields until they shattered. It was not always great.
Yeah.
Do your fans ever find it hard to like who didn't? Because I only started listening to you once you were sober, so
Yeah.
I've never seen that side of you. Is it ever hard for them to like reconcile that like when they hear you tell those stories? Is it hard for them to imagine that?
Yeah, I think some people it is. It's weird. I was just talking about that. I was hanging out with Ari Shafir, who's a good friend of mine, but we've been friends for 10 years, but I've always been sober since I've known him. So it's kind of weird. But I think once you get to know me, you can see that I
You still got
have
that
some problems. Yeah, like,
Right.
see,
that energy in you.
be a little nutty. Yeah.
And then a big thing you said helped you was you got into. I'm gonna go for the name. It's Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yeah. Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah.
And so what is that? It's like mindfulness, right?
Yeah. He's just died this year. Or
Oh, really?
It was
I'm
last
sorry.
year.
Yeah,
I can't
last
remember. Yeah, it was not that long ago. But yeah, he was like a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and he was like old school, like Vietnam. Like Martin Luther King nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's been around forever, and he just wrote 300 books or some crazy shit. Not that many, but. Yeah, I got kind of introduced to like mindfulness and meditation through him, which really, really helped me a lot.
And how do you practice that?
I would recommend the books, but it's definitely a lot of,
You don't want to be the one responsible for laying it out.
Yeah, I feel weird like getting into like, here's how you do it. But it's, sort of sitting
Just
meditation.
give me a primer, maybe.
Yeah.
I just want to try it.
A little gratitude, like focusing more on your breath and kind of getting out of your head and thoughts and recognizing thoughts as thoughts. And recognize the impermanence of life, that all these feelings and emotions, whatever they are, will pass. And it's a lot of that. I mean, his books are sort of repetitive or redundant, which sounds like a negative word, but they're all similar because it's a pretty like simple practice that's hard. It's like the program. It's like
Right.
simple but difficult. So that got me like really into that thing of like, oh, there's possible to feel things and be in places of consciousness that don't involve drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
But his books are great. I mean, like, there's a book called Happiness and Peace is Every Step. There's literally like 100 of them.
Mm.
They used to bother me with artists. Well, he's not an artist. What would you call him? Just a guru or like a spiritual leader?
He's just a monk, like a Buddhist monk, spiritual leader, I guess.
But like when I like all the directors I was into when I was young, I had like a big fascination with this. I wanted their movies not to have anything in common with each other.
Interesting.
Like I wanted each director to be like totally versatile. It took me a long time to realize like, well, no, they're kind of telling the same. Like a real great artist is kind of telling the same story over again, but just kind of like moving around a little bit in genre or something like that.
Yeah, I always joke about this with my like stand up. I'm like, I really only talk about 5 things. It's like I think all my specials albums could have like very similar track listings. I'm like, all right, here's the travel stuff, here's the anxiety stuff, and here comes the sex stuff, and then here's a few shit jokes for the kids, and I'll see you later. Because it's like you only, it's hard to.
Yeah, your brain is like coded to respond to just certain things and to produce certain things.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of like, you sort of think a lot of the same things over and over again.
Yeah, a lot of my jokes will have like someone getting punched in them for some reason. I just always do that.
It's on your mind, man.
But then I have like, I'll do a 10-minute set and like 7 of the jokes have that in there. I'm like, I gotta fucking break this up a little bit.
I just had the thing where I'm like, I'm doing a bit and I'm like, I think I did this as a bit or something very similar. I'm like, I think I have these words like in another special.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, all right, well, I guess I'll just keep doing it.
That's why like Steve Martin was smart, right? Because he just did a couple and then he was like, all right, I'm out. I'm gonna do different things now.
Yeah, but he had a film career. I don't know. I'll have to just go go to college or something. I don't have anything else to do. Like it's easy to quit when you're like, I'm a movie star now.
Yeah. Did you like acting? Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun to like collaborate and everything. It was great.
Your reacting off the other people was like amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you were super grounded in it too.
Oh, appreciate that. Thank you.
I also liked, I wanted to ask you about you. How long did it take you to get the gesticulations down for the piano?
It was, I thought it was bad. Some people have been like, do you really play piano? And then
No,
other
it was
people were
good.
like, you
I
ruined
thought you
the
did.
film.
I was
It was
gonna
good.
ask you, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
thanks. I mean, like, I am a big music fan. I'm a music nut. So, like, I have an idea of, like, how... I'm always blown away by people that don't know how to mime mute. Like, when people, like, will, like, pretend to be guitar and they're, like, doing this. Where I'm like, what? Or, like, drums, they're like, ah!
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like, I've seen people play piano. I know you can shift a hand with your thumb like this, and there's some bars and chords. So I'm like, I have...
Did you watch tape of like, I don't know, Thelonious Monk or something and try to...
Not too
Mimic
much,
it?
a little bit. I mean, the guy, we also recorded, I guess we recorded the music afterwards, but I guess I've just always loved piano and watched people, like all instruments. I've always been fascinated by musicians, so I have like a sense of it. But there's a couple moments where I felt like I just was like way off, but we did a good job of kind of, but it's funny because if you were in the room we were shooting it, like I'm literally just banging on piano keys. So it's like we're shooting the scene. It's just like,
Yeah.
because I was just trying to make it look like something, which I'm always annoyed by. When I watch musicians, I'm like, I can move my hands the way he's moving his hands. Why doesn't it sound good?
Yeah, and how do they understand where to move their hand to? My brain never worked that way. It never understood like where to, like, you know, some people can just intuitively like kind of understand the layout of the keyboard, like know which keys are going to go with which ones, like with minimal lessons.
Yeah.
I studied for a couple years and I never could, it never became like instinct for me. I was just like memorization.
No, I took mandolin lessons for like a year and a half, a few years ago.
Why'd you do that?
I always wanted to play something, and my thought at the time was a mandolin is light and small, and I could bring it on the road and have something to do during the day.
That's smart.
But then I already have a suitcase and a backpack, so it was both my carry-on. So I'm like, I don't want to check a bag, so I ended up never doing that once. But I did take lessons and stuff, and it was fun. And it is like a thing of like, oh, I could do this if I kept, because it's like my fingers do move in that way. Look at them moving my. But then it's like your brain has to connect to hit this string at that time.
Yeah, I took guitar lessons in high school from this guy, the Moose.
Oh, nice.
He's the man.
Darryl Johnson?
What's up?
Darryl Johnson?
Yeah,
Football
fullback for the Cowboys.
Dude, maybe it was him. But yeah, because I was so impatient with that. I just wanted to, the amount of, I just wanted to get to the point where I could just rip. And I don't think I had, with stand-up I had that where I'm like, oh, if I put in the time I can get, but for some reason with the guitar, I just wanted to get to like rock star status already.
Well, that's how I always felt. That's why I always wanted to be a musician. I always wanted to do a lot of like be a filmmaker and a musician and an athlete and all these things. But comedy, not that comedy's easy, but it seemed the easiest in that you
Right.
could write something and go say it. Where music, it's like you had to put in years to learn how to play before you could even start to create.
Exactly.
Where
Yeah.
stand up, I can just be like, I took a shit and it was crazy. Whoa.
Yeah, and there's something about being on
Not a bad
stage. There's something about being on stage with a mic. It just felt more natural. It's like, oh, I can, or maybe you know what? Yeah, I think you're right because it's like your first time. Sometimes it goes well, and you're like, oh fuck, like I'm good.
Yeah.
Then it's like you go through like years of open mic. You're like, oh, I'm not good, but you have that initial thing of like, oh, it's possible.
Yeah.
Whereas with guitar, I was like, I saw no future for myself.
That's how I felt. I was just like, there's no way I'm going to learn. So much of my shortcomings are just lack of belief in myself. I was like, there's no way I could do that. It's too long.
Yeah.
What movies were you guys kind of informed by when you made 4th of July?
Mike Lee, Secrets and
nice.
Lies was like the first, that I had just watched that. And when we started talking movie, I was like, I just watched Secrets and Lies, which again, talking about making things easier, that movie is like very much improvised. They did it, I think, the way
All of
like
his
Curb
movies,
is.
right?
Yeah. And so that was another part of it. I was like, I don't think we have to write this. I think we just have the bait because I'm just always trying to get out of work.
Yeah.
And he improvises it through rehearsal, right? But like by the time they get to like action, they kind of got it.
I think
down.
so. Yeah.
He's a wild filmmaker. Like I've only seen a couple of his movies. I haven't seen that one. I saw Naked.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that one. It was too dark for me at the time. Maybe I'd like it now. But at the time, I was annoyed with the guy.
It is. It's so fun. I feel very similarly because Secrets and Lies is like incredible. It's great. But yeah, I remember I watched Secrets and Lies before that. And I was like, I'm going to watch Naked. And it was similar. It was very dark and like, oh, this is tough.
There was too much like vanity in his like existential brooding. I was like, this guy's just trying to like sound smart and get laid. It doesn't feel like earned for me.
Yeah, I didn't like hate it, but it's not. Secrets and Lies is emotional and beautiful. But that was a big part of it for sure. And we kind of thought of like Robert Altman, where there'd be a lot of people talking.
Oh, that's
you have to kind of
cool.
choose who you're listening to is kind of an idea.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Where the dialogue's just happening everywhere. And you're just picking, it feels so, the first time you see that too, you're like, oh, someone actually got real life on camera.
Yeah, for sure.
Nick DiPaolo was great. I
He's
didn't
awesome.
recognize him at first, but I know his voice so well.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, Nick DiPaolo. But yeah, he was so great as the uncle.
He's great. He's so funny. He's a really talented actor and comedian. And yeah, we were kind of trying to cast that, and they sent us a few guys, older Boston guys, because you got to be old enough to be my uncle, or an older uncle. And they kept sending us these guys who were good, but they were kind of like skinny and like, hey, you fucking
Right.
piece. And there was this thing of like, well, I would just like smack that guy. I'd be like, hey, fuck you. It's got to be somebody who's like intimidating.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like, oh, this is Nick DiPaolo. Like
Right.
Nick's a friend of mine. And he's like,
Yeah.
in his 60s and ripped and tattooed, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he'd be perfect. And he was just amazing.
What's the joke you said Nick DiPaolo used to say when he took you on the road that made you laugh every time? It was something where he would like sip soda.
Oh, I don't know.
Like this Pepsi's flatter than like.
I'd say it's flatter than my sister's ass, and he did it every single time. He'd get a rum and Diet Coke or something like that, and he'd just go, "Oh, it's just flatter than my sister's ass." And it could be like the bubbliest soda. He just liked saying it. He had a lot of great bits as we're boarding the plane. I do this bit all the time. I just took it from him as he's like boarding the plane or like getting in the car. He's like, "This is gonna be a good weekend." He'd just drop his wallet on the floor as we're getting on the plane. He's like, "This is gonna be awesome." Just drop his whole wallet, and I would just die laughing every time. No, Nick's great. He's hilarious.
What was it like having Louis as a director? Because I sort of feel like with bigger comics like that, for me, I know you opened for him a lot and you're friends with him, but
Yeah.
I always feel like I'd be kind of. I always feel like bigger comics I really respect like that. I'd be like, oh, dude, I feel like it'd be kind of hard to perform because I'd be so nervous.
No, I mean, for me, it is because like we got pretty close and we wrote it together and worked together, so it was a little bit easier. And I don't know, he was so great. I mean, he was like very laid back. I don't know if that's the right word. I think it is kind of hands off and just gentle. I don't know if that's the right word, but it just felt like, well, for me at least, I mean, he was like this with everybody to some degree, and maybe it'd give a little more direction. But for me, it's like we wrote it together. It was autobiographical, so I had a good sense of what it is, and in a way, I'm playing myself. So it wasn't all that challenging, and he was pretty much like, okay, great.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of like direction from acting, and he was just positive and like, we'll get this done, and he was really good at keeping it moving and stuff, and he was awesome. There was not a moment in the entire production where like it felt tense or like, oh my god, or this person's mad at that person, or I can't believe he said that.
Yeah.
It was just it was great. It was just really easy. I wish I had like a story where I was like, there was this one moment where like this thing, but it was just good. It was really good.
Yeah. It's kind of a general question, but yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm just so, because I listen to all of you guys like podcasts about it, and I'm just so fascinated by I don't know, the whole process and everything. But
No, it was fun. I want to do it again. It's like if you, like anything else, you're like anything that's fun, you're like, why don't we just do that again?
yeah,
That
Totally.
was great. And you want to get the same group, but you're like, that doesn't make sense. You can't just have the same exact people.
Totally.
Just run it back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just do it again. Second movie.
Yeah, make the same movie again. I mean, Haneke did that, right? With Funny Games, he just made the same exact movie twice,
Oh, really?
like shot for shot.
Oh, I don't even know that story, but that's insane.
Yeah, the movie's like hard to watch. It's like very, how would you describe it? It's like
Tense,
mean spirited.
violent,
Yeah, it's a very mean spirited movie. But he did one in Germany and then he did one in Canada and just made the exact same movie twice.
Oh, wow. Weird.
You could do that.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it. I'll call him up. Hey, do you want to lose that money again?
Yeah. You could do Christmas. Just do another.
Yeah,
holiday.
we kept talking about that when we were shooting. Like it's such a great hang that we
Yeah.
were like, yeah, why don't we do Halloween? Well, I did have an idea at one point. I had an idea at one point of like where the mother dies, like a sequel or just an idea. And at one point, Louis was like, "What if we make this in the movie?" And I was like, "No, we have what we want."
Yeah.
But like the mother dies, and I'm just kind of with this dad who doesn't talk much or show any emotion. And I'm kind of like, "You want to go to my work with me?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I thought that was like a compelling idea of like you lose this mother who's like overbearing, but at least does talk to some degree.
Mm.
And then you're kind of like, me and this guy are just sitting with each other.
Was it I mean, I know it's, art, so it's distance from reality, but were you like at all nervous about your mom watching the movie or anything like that?
I was nervous, but like the mother in the movie, and I feel like I had to say this everywhere publicly, but like the mother is extremely different. Like my general family there's similarities, and the character Nick DiPaolo plays, like I don't have an uncle who's like, we heightened all the family, but like the mother particularly in the movie is like sociopathic. My mother is like actually quite sweet and warm and supportive, and like came to the movie. She came to the premiere and saw it in the theaters twice. So I had to tell her like, we're making this movie. This is not how I see you or feel, and it's different enough. I don't think my mother was like. I don't think my mother
She was
was
just
like, oh my
supportive.
God,
Yeah.
they're doing me. Like my mother would never be like, your childish dreams. We don't need you. My mother like comes
Supports
to shows and stuff, and is
Right.
like, that's great.
Do you think like method acting is like a real necessary thing, or do you think that's kind of because I've kind of come along, or what do you think?
It seems weird to. I mean, someone had the quote. Who had that quote that was like, they're always playing an asshole when they're method.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wondered about this. Like Sean Penn, I'm like, did he do Fast Times method? Was he like walking around, hit himself with a shoe, and being like, no way?
Which would have been really
can't-
fun on set.
Yeah,
That
I was
would've
like,
been
because
good
that's
for the
kind of
vibe.
cool. I'd be like, great. I would love to hang out with Spicoli.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, it seems weird. Like I watched the Jim Carrey doc about Man on the Moon. Did you watch that? And I was like,
Me and my
this is
girlfriend
like-
were just talking about it. It's too much.
I'm like outraged. This guy's like a bad person.
Yeah.
Well, I think it raises the burden of proof, right? Where like if you're gonna act like that, it better be the best performance of all time. And like Daniel Day-Lewis kind of clears that bar, like where you're
Right.
like, he's acting like a schmuck, but holy shit, like he really became like Bill the Butcher. And then with Man on the Moon, it's like a pretty good movie, but it wasn't like it didn't feel justified to me in the end.
No, and I always. Sorry, now we're talking movies. My brain's just going everywhere. But I always think about Paul Dano had to go through that scene in There Will Be Blood where he's like shoving mud in his mouth and he's like dragging him. I'm like, that must have been a nightmare to shoot with like that guy not breaking character and not
Yeah.
being like, I'm so
I
sorry.
bet you Dano loved it. He might have that kind of intensity. He might have
Yeah.
been like, keep it coming. What's his name in it?
It was
What's his
Paul. It was like Paul and
Daniel. Daniel Plainview, right?
Daniel Plainview, and I think Paul is the twin, right?
I forget his name.
I think so.
Yeah.
Wait,
Aaron.
Not a huge fan of that movie.
I'm not either. I'm not either. Yeah, let's get into it.
that's crazy.
You know, it's too. I find it kind of one note that he's just this, and I guess that's the point, right? He's just this like hard driving monster who only can like. He doesn't feel anything, but if he succeeds, he feels like he's at least making other people unhappy or something.
Yeah, I just love it. Sunday was Paul Dano's name. Paul Sunday and the other one. But anyway, so I'm trying to think of it. But Daniel Plainview was what's his name? Daniel Day-Lewis. I love it. I mean, visually, I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. I think it's there's great laughs in it. There's great visuals in it, and it's just compelling. And I love it. I love everything about it.
Paul and Eli.
Paul and Eli, yes. Eli Sunday.
Yeah.
It was Paul. I love Daniel Day-Lewis in that. I drink your milkshake.
That's
Drink
good.
it up. It's one of the only impressions I can do.
I'll try and do Dano.
Across the room. No, I love it. I think it's like fantastic.
When Dano, can you do Dano screaming in that scene?
I don't know. I'd have to really get it. I'd have to really get it up. But I love that.
You want Plainview to kill him once you hear him scream like that. You're like, kill this motherfucker. Like, he can't be squealing and squawking like that.
I mean, that scene, it's a satisfying scene at the end when he makes him yell and stuff, and he goes, that land's been had. You can sit down now. I mean, it's pretty great.
I guess it just felt a bit random to me, but I think Paul Thomas Anderson's a genius. I guess I miss like the early PTA where it was like, I don't know, it felt a bit more accessible.
Yeah, no, I can see that. But going back to the method thing, it is funny because so the people that played my parents in the movie we made, they're like theater actors, and they were both fantastic. And I'm like thinking like the morning of, they're big scenes. I'm trying to like give them space, and they're just like, "Hey, what's up, Joe? How's it going?" And then, because theater actors to me are like real actors, they have to do the thing every night. They can't be like, "Oh, take that back." So they're just like, they could just click it on and click it off. And I think you can do that. Like, I understand the idea of like, we're about to shoot, so let me have a scene, because this is going to be an emotional scene. So like, give me a minute. But I'm like, I think it's weird to be like, I need all the day.
Yeah.
No one come near me all day because I need to yell. I'm like, I don't know. I think, wasn't it, what's this, Laurence Olivier that was like, ever try acting?
Yeah, he said that's a Hoffman on Marathon Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Dustin Hoffman didn't sleep for like 3 days.
Yeah, it's just like,
It's like, relax, dude.
I think you can pull it off. So I don't know, but whatever.
Different ways up the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even an actor. I've acted in one thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like a lot of it is like the pressure, because with acting, you feel like you have to like nail it, and I feel like a lot of it is sort of the pressure too, where you're like, no, I need to be in this dark mood for hours beforehand, or it's not going to be authentic or real. But then when people get more experience, then they're able to like click into it a little bit more and have a little bit more kind of be more detached from the outcome, maybe.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I get it. It's hard because it's like, again, I haven't done a lot of acting, but sometimes I feel that way with like, there's movies where it's like, yeah, Robert De Niro drove cabs for like 6 months or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, you can't just imagine what it's like to drive a cab. I feel like I could get there mentally.
Yeah.
You pick someone up and hey.
Kind of sounds fun though.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, these guys, they're great. They pull it off. It's impressive.
All right, this is a big pivot. Listening to your podcast a lot, you mentioned bukkakis a lot.
This is a big pivot. Jeremy Pivot. Is that the whole question? Yeah. Well, reverse bukkake is my big.
You like when? That's right. You like it when the guy gets squirted on.
Yeah,
by
yeah,
like,
I want to reverse bukkake is my all-time fantasy.
I guess what always interested me about it was how highly specific it was.
Well, I like just a lot of women just really just treating me like shit and jizzing in my face.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of. I had a dark period where I was doing like webcam porn, and I liked it when the girls were mean to me. But it fit the moment because I was like, I thought I was cooler than the other guys on there because you could, you'd be in like a chat room with other guys and they'd be like, "Tell me I'm a king" or something like that. I'm like, "You're jacking off over the computer. You're definitely not a king."
Yeah, you stink.
Right. So I'd be like, tell me I'm a loser because this is pretty pathetic what I'm doing.
But I don't like too mean. Like one time I was in, I've told the story a few places, but I went to Montreal years ago. I was like 19. I grew up in New England, so we'd always just go to Montreal because there was strippers and you could drink. And we got like a private showing of these two women that like, you know, they do whatever. And like one's like having sex with the other one with a dildo. And she's like, what was your name? I can't do accents, but she was French Canadian. She's like, what is your name? And I was like, Joe. And she's like, oh, Joe, small dick, Joe. You got a small dick. And everyone being like, what? How come I got to be this? I'm like, I just paid you. I'm trying to sit here and enjoy.
I guess with me too, there was a level of control because I would tell them the mean things to say to me. So it still felt like I was kind of, you know, at the stick or at least handing it off to him.
Yeah, I guess maybe if it was just me or something, there was like 5 of us. And I'm like, well, can't they have small dicks? I don't get it.
Right. Yeah. She kind of pegged you unfairly there.
I think I'd like, because I think I'd enjoy being dominated.
Yeah.
I think more sort of like, I think just call me a bitch. Like, don't make me question myself.
Yeah. Well, I used to like a woman spitting in my mouth. Not like a loogie,
Yeah,
but
I like
nice.
the-
Yeah,
yeah.
I was really into that. But
It's
my
nice.
wife now is like, I can't. What are you talking about? And I'm like, that's right, fine.
I asked for that one time and it got totally rejected.
Yeah, same. Like I had a girl spit in my face and stuff. Just a nice, make me feel like shit.
Yeah, I have never even like thought about the idea of a reverse bukkake, but that does sound nice.
Well, I had a girl that I was hooking up with one time, like sat on my face and then held my nose.
Whoa.
And I couldn't breathe, and she would like let go of my nose for a few seconds. It was real hot.
I did
Yeah.
similar. Yeah, a girl almost like killed me being on top of my face. I was like, I thought it was more the jaw pressure. I thought something was gonna break.
Yeah, you
Wow.
gotta support your weight. You can't have your weight on face. I mean,
Yeah, I was bucking underneath. It felt like
Yeah.
I was in jujitsu class.
my jaw's weak enough.
Yeah, you and me
That'll
both,
let you
brother.
on it.
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, no, I like that. Just rubbing stuffing a tit right in there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that about your comedy too. Like in your news special, where you're like, people think I'm smart, but really, I just want to see tits.
Yeah, I feel that
That
way
was a rough-
a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a Cliff Notes version, but I feel that way a lot. I feel like I think I present as like an intellectual. So I did a bit about this years ago that people like think of me as like a nerd, but really I'm like a thin guy with bad eyesight and like an overbite. But I'm like, I don't like sci-fi. I was not a particularly good student. I'm a very good athlete. I had sex with some really attractive women. I'm not good at math.
Who'd you run with in high school?
I was voted favorite senior male. Like I was like a very popular guy.
Yeah.
And I was friends with like kind of guys that were in like bands. Not I ran cross country and track, which I know is like counter to what I'm saying, but I hung with everybody. I was like pretty cool. I was not a guy who was like getting stuffed in lockers and wedgies and stuff.
Right.
Really like cool, and like I like set up like a pregame before like homecoming. We'd like grilled out front and like tailgated when everyone arrived at school. We were like tailgating and shit and had a party. And one time I showed up in like a bikini and my buddy was in like bathing suit. We had like a kind of a surf party, whatever you call it, like a luau type of theme, like just randomly at school. I would do crazy shit like that.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because of like media, but media will like tell you what like a high school looks like and stuff. But most places I've gone, the coolest person at the high school didn't fit into like a cutout of what you would think that would look like. It was typically the person who was most willing to do the craziest shit, but had kind of but wasn't mean about it. Had like an easygoing spirit about all of it.
Yeah, bless you.
Thank you.
I mean, I was like well adjusted. I felt like I always talk about this. I'm like, I was just thinking about this recently because I was like, I had no anxiety in high school.
Really?
I was like, but I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, I was a runner.
Oh, so the exercise.
So I would run like 7 to 9 miles a day. And I also was just hanging out with friends all day, every day.
Yeah.
So I had this thought of like, I should try to incorporate those back into my life, like a lot of exercise and hanging out with friends, which I do. I'm able to do. I'm fortunate.
Part of it too is like it feels like there's no other option. You're like, this is just life. And then I think when you become an adult, you realize there's so much choice you can make to change your circumstances. It almost invariably just breeds a lot of anxiety. Like I'm like, should I change this? Should I change that? Is this the right person for me? Should I be hanging out with this person? Is this the right project to be working on? And like when you're in high school, you're not thinking about that. You're just like, these are the people I was born with. I'm going to keep kicking it with them. And yeah, we got to play a sport in high school. So I guess I'll run.
Yeah, it was a lot easier. I was a baseball player growing up, and then I failed off the track team my freshman year. I was just a bad student. And so when it came time for spring sports, I was ineligible. And so I was like, well, I can't try out for baseball. But my track coach was like, well, you can be on the spring track team and just practice with us. And then when you're eligible, you can start competing again. So I ended up leaving baseball just because I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to. The new coach isn't going to be like, oh, you're an ineligible failure. Come try out for no reason. So I ended up leaving baseball for that reason.
Are you good at breaking balls? Like Boston style?
Yeah, you're kind of the best,
Or
right?
busting
Isn't
balls?
that kind of
Yeah.
It's breaking balls?
I love it. Breaking balls feels more like
Murdering
Italian to me.
balls.
We always said
Yeah.
busting balls. But,
Dude, yeah.
but yeah, I love it. That's my favorite thing.
Breaking balls. I was thinking of the
I
dominatrix.
thought you meant baseball.
No, I was talking about
baseball.
I was talking about domination.
Yeah, I was like,
no.
no, I was never fucking great at snapping one off.
Oh, that's.
I was like, but I had good control.
No, we're good at busting balls. That's why.
Yeah, I love busting balls.
Yeah. I'm good at taking it. I don't know if I'm the best at giving it.
Well, it's hard because like some people aren't into it, so I always try to be respectful because like there's some people that like are like, why did you say that?
Well, I like being on the receiving end, and
Yeah.
I love watching it happen. But I think I have just such a gentle kind of vibe where if I try to give someone shit, they're like, well, why did you say that?
Well, busting balls with people you don't know is always horrible. I just had one where a buddy is a comic who's great and very funny, but we were in Vegas at the Skankfest, big festival, which was great. And I guess he's like a younger comic, certainly younger than me. And I was like, well, are you volunteering?
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny. Everyone smiled, but then he was like, no, I'm booked. Are you serious? And I was like, you just made that 100 times worse. Right. Like I was like lightly busting your balls, and you thinking that I was genuine made you seem like really
super insecure.
Yeah.
that you were like, no. I'm like, yeah, obviously you're not volunteering, you dipshit.
Yeah.
So sometimes you bust balls and like they just make it worse on their own.
Right.
Well, that's what's nice too about people who bust balls a lot is you're like, okay, well they're setting the tempo. I guess they can take it back, and then you can slip into that. But
Sometimes they can't though, and it gets weird. When you're like, I thought that's what we were doing.
right, but it's just a one-way street. They're like, no, I bust your balls. It doesn't come back.
Bobby Kelly, who's one of my good buddies, who happens to be in town.
I love your guys' when you go on his podcast. It's always hilarious.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we just did one yesterday. He was in town, but he left today. But we were hanging out. Oh, no, we weren't hanging out. Sorry, I lost train of thought. He had an old bit years ago about the guy that sucks at busting balls when you're like, yeah, whatever, man, you suck. And he's like, yeah, I heard your mother's sick.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what? She is sick. And he's like, that always made me, that's such a great example of a bad ball bust.
Dude, one more big piv. Do you still talk about having herpes and stuff like that?
No, I stopped. No. No, I do. I'm happy to talk
Because
about it.
I got herpes too.
Oh, nice.
And I talk about it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then and you were first to market on it. You were talking about it well before me. But now when I hear like newer comics or someone who's been in it less than me start talking about having herpes, I get a little territorial where I'm like, hey man, that's kind of my thing, is talking about the herpes.
Yeah, it's hard because I've tried it as a bit. It's still hard. Like on stage, people are still like, ugh. Like it's like a weird word or gross to people. But yeah, I've been talking about my podcast. I thought it's an interesting story of like how I began being with my wife. There was like, we had this fake comedy award show called the Laker Awards with this comic named Chris Laker. This is like 12 years ago now. And it was the year I blacked out and shit in a woman's shoe. And they gave me an award called the Gentleman's Gentleman for being the nicest guy who shits in shoes. Mm-hmm. And then I gave a speech and I thought it would be funny. And I was like newly herpified. And I was like, this will be funny. I tried to give like an emotional speech. And I was like, it's been a really hard year. I got herpes, just like a wild, horrible, painful case of herpes. And this really makes it all worthwhile. And I thought that was going to be funny. And it just it was just
Really?
It's crazy because like, I mean, I've read different statistics, but it's incredibly common. So
Yes.
I always like try to turn it on the audience. I'm like, a bunch of you guys who are here tonight like have herpes, but I understand why people don't talk about it.
yeah.
But it never felt like that big of a deal to me. I wasn't that bummed about it when it happened.
I don't know if you had this experience. I was bummed because my first outbreak, I mean, I was drinking excessively at the time, so I was a mess. But my first outbreak was like egregiously bad, and it went for weeks. It was really, really horrible.
Yeah, mine wasn't that rough. Mine was pretty manageable.
Yeah, I think because I was just living an out of control lifestyle, it was bad. But Oh, but so at this award show, I gave this speech, and it really bombed. And people were like, "Oh, I think maybe because it was so long ago, there was no sex positivity, I think, or something."
Right.
And I came off stage, and my now wife was a friend of mine at the time. She's a comic, Sarah Talamo. She was wonderful. She was like, "I think it's great." Like nobody was talking to me, and she's like, "I think it's great that you talked about herpes. I think more people should, and I think it's awesome."
Yeah, you turned it into a positive where it's like you got courage for letting it rip on it.
Yeah, but she said that, and I was like, "Oh, I got like this." She has herpes, and she wants to fuck. Like she said that, and I was like, "Oh, nice." And so I started like talking to her more, and then later, like a couple weeks after, she was like, "No, I don't have herpes," and she's like, "Nor do I want to have sex with you. I just was being nice." She was actually just a nice person, who was trying to be supportive.
Well,
in
that's
this
the
moment.
male brain, right? Just quickly converting it into sexual potential.
Yeah, I tried to do this joke recently about like how every time I'm with a guy, the waitress comes over and is like, "What can I get you to drink?" He's like, "You think she wants to? Think she wants to fuck?" And I'm like, "I think she just wants to bring you a Coke." But anyways, now we're married.
What kind of shoe did you shit in?
It was like a high top Nike sneaker.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I
Did you
filled
get it in there?
right up. Some of it was in. There was some out, and then there was like a piece. It was a real situation.
Yeah.
Did you? Well, because I think I remember the story. You didn't remember. They called you and said like, "Hey, you did this, right?"
No. So what happened was, I woke up. I was like obviously out of my mind. I woke up in bed, and it was like morning. First of all, I had like a flight to Seattle, like a cross country flight, and I was going for a month for the Seattle comedy competition, and I missed my flight, and I was like, okay, I remember being at this house. Okay, great. And then I had to piss so bad. I was like, I have got to get to a bathroom because I'm going to piss my pants, and that would be really embarrassing if I just peed my pants right now. So I went and found the bathroom. I remember peeing for like 10 minutes. It was like a Naked Gun piss. And I remember feeling like I don't feel good, and I think that was a bad night. And then I walked into the living room, and it was a table like this, but it was broken, like Chris Farley, like the table was just shattered. And I remember thinking like, I'm pretty sure I did that. That seems like that was me. And then I went back in the bedroom, and there was like footprints of shit, and there was some shit in the sneaker, and I grabbed it with like my sock and then like twisted it inside out and like put it in the trash, and I cleaned up what
was going through your head when you were doing that?
I was thinking. Like it was a lot. It was like I missed my flight. These people hate me, and then they were gone. So I thought that like I was just a terror, and they fled. Like I was like, they must have just gotten a hotel,
Right?
Because I was like, shitting everywhere. I was like, they must have like left.
And you
their
didn't know
home.
these people very well, right?
I didn't know them too. I knew them a little bit. They worked at the club, and so I had like some rapport. I knew them a bit. Like I would say, you know them as well as you know someone that works at a comedy. Oh shit! Let's just pour the whole fucking thing out. And so I was like, hey, I'd always see them. And it was like a thing of like, this was me. I can tell this was me. It was bad. But the thing that was hilarious was I texted being like, I'm so sorry. I want to kill myself. I'm ashamed. And they wrote back like, oh, dude, we all get out of control sometimes. It was fun. Crazy night. That was fun. And I was like, oh, geez, these girls are wild. And then I like flew across the country, airplane mode, whatever. Or maybe the phone was off at that time, but like flew across the country. And what I didn't realize is they had gone to work. So this happened after they had left for work, which is the most insane part of the story. Is like I was shitting in a shoe like during the daytime. It was like, it must have been like 9 o'clock in the morning.
It was a nice day.
Yeah. So they came home to this and were like, what? And then the text was like, we had no idea how bad this was. This is crazy. Oh my God. And I was like, that makes more sense. I was like, this is a better reaction. And it was horrible. I felt, luckily they were young and, very sweet about it. And I wrote, it was on Facebook. So the message still exists. It's like a message like this long.
Hilarious.
You ever go back and read it just to like bring yourself back to that moment?
Yeah, I have. And it's really ugly. It was bad. I mean, it was like a thoughtful, I read it and I'm like, this is like touching. And, the one woman was really sweet about it. She's like, hey, we all get crazy. And I sent her money for her sneakers, and they were like, it happens. And then I ended up talking to the one girl, like, again, like not in any kind of romantic way, but just like having a conversation, and they were cool and forgiving. And
they must be like, you made so much progress since then. They must be like proud of you, right?
I don't know. I've thought about that before of like reaching out like, hey, it's the 10-year anniversary of me rock bottoming out.
I'm married now. I just made a
Sorry, yeah. I've
movie
been
with
sober for a
a
decade, you know.
comedic icon. Yeah, things are good.
Doing well. Yeah, I kind of wonder that if they still think about that or
I think
recall
they're
that.
rooting for you. I think when
I
they
hope.
see you on TV, they're like, "This is good."
I hope so. But yeah, it was crazy. But the funny thing is, my friends are all wild animals. So I remember like calling one comic and being like, "Dude, I've done that like 4 times." And then Nate Bargatze, who's now extremely successful, was like crying, laughing. I remember he was on a flight,
Yeah.
and he just could not stop laughing. It's the hardest I've ever heard him laugh. So there was a part of you that's like, all right, I guess this is like not that bad.
Right.
And then I kept drinking for another couple of years.
I shit the bed and shit on my sister-in-law's grandma's quilt in high school, and it sent me into like a deep spiral for months.
Yeah, it's not a great feeling.
No, because my brother was like, she was inconsolable, and I was like, I was like a junior in high school, and I was like, I just thought I was like the worst human being alive.
Was it a fat shit?
Dude, it was horrific because my brother thought I was dead, so he stayed in the bed. It was in New York City. I went to boarding school, and so my brother lived in Manhattan, so I would party in New York City. And then my friends carried me in because I was like passed out. They carried me in and put me on like his futon, and he slept in there with me because he thought I was dead or was gonna die, And I shit the bed, and I just wake up to him with a fucking t-shirt wrapped around his face.
Oh
And
God.
he's cleaning it up. He's like, "You shit the bed," and like the worst. But I didn't tell any of my friends about it. I was so embarrassed. It wasn't like I was able to like it was just deep shame. And I think for my older brother too, he's sort of like a father figure in a way, like just because he's like 11, 12 years older. I just like, I don't know if it's still like a dark memory for me. I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. I mean, that's like the time in my life that I've most been like, I should kill myself. Like, I think I should kill. It would be the right thing to do right now.
Yeah.
Because you shit in a shoe though.
Because I shit all over this woman's floor. I mean, it was crazy. The thing about shitting that's weird, shitting the bed particularly, because I thought I was shitting it. I was so out of my mind that like it was like the heel of a shoe. I was like, oh, this must be a play. This is some kind of like some resemblance to like a thing, a toilet. So I think I was like thinking like I'm shitting, but shitting the bed is weird because it's like to shit while like perpendicular with the ground, like horizontally.
Yeah.
Because sometimes shit is work. It's like a
right. Yeah.
Right.
So to do that just like laying is
Almost
really
impressive.
something.
Dude,
Yeah, it's not bad.
it was pretty horrific. Yeah.
You're a good athlete.
Oh, thanks.
Your
Yeah.
system works well.
I think I had some like, I don't want to get gross, but I think I had like a euro before, so maybe that.
That'll do it.
Yeah, you get plenty of fiber, the booze. I mean, I think your body also is just like get everything out of me.
Yeah,
This
under
is-
my
we're
sister-in-law's
poison.
quilt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you want to answer some questions?
sure. I love questions.
Yeah, let me grab my laptop real quick.
Guys, so sorry about I'm interrupting this podcast. Let you know once again that we are brought to you by Prize Picks. What up, Prize Picks? Thank you for sponsoring the pod, you freaking legends. Prize Picks is your easiest and fastest way to play daily fantasy sports. So you could be like, hey, tonight I'm picking Patrick Mahomes to throw for more than 320 passing yards, Derrick Henry to rush for less than 85 yards, Cooper Kupp to score more than 0.5 touchdowns, and Tyreek Hill to catch less than 3.5 passes. Fun fact, I only know who Patrick Mahomes is, but I'm still fired up on this, and that makes me want to play. And you know what? I might just put those exact picks in, and I'll let you guys know how I do. I actually put some action on the game last week, the Raiders game, and I won. So it felt great. But I just love Prize Picks. I mean, there's nothing better than making your predictions for the game, getting invested into it, and just sort of, is there anything better than watching the game when you've got something on the line? When you just, even if it doesn't have to be money, it could just be a pick. It's the best. And the best place to do it is at Prize Picks. You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they will go score more or less than their Prize Picks projection. You can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Very fun. They offer projections on any sport that you watch. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football. Guys, if you're making picks, if you want to get some action down, pick these dudes' Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code GODEEP. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code GODEEP at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Finally, we're brought to you by the Legends app, Manscaped. Manscaped, thank you so much for keeping our chins peeled, for looking after our hogs, for making sure their dinks are looking fresh and clean, because Michael Myers is here to say that if you don't manscape, he's going to cut off your bell end. So that means you're going to have a shaft but no bell end. That's basically what it's like when you don't manscape, all right? And all you have to do is get the performance package. You get the lawnmower. You get the weed whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. You can get body wash. You can get shampoo and condition. You can get all kinds of stuff. If you want to take care of your body as a man, go with Manscaped. You don't have to think about anything else. Just get the performance package and you're set. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. Get that shed travel bag, baby. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code GODEEP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code GODEEP at manscaped.com. Say trick or treat to your beautiful new Halloweenie with Manscaped. All right, back to the show. We're on the same show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm going up at like 11:30.
I'm on both. I'm on tonight. It's like Maniscalco and David Spade and me
on the
poster.
8?
Yeah, I was like,
that's cool.
This is like a thrill. I feel like a boy out here. I'm like, whoa, Spade.
I love watching. I love watching Sebastian live too.
I've never seen him live. It's so funny. So like, there's a lot of comics I just don't want or haven't seen much of. I always tell this story. I'm like, I've seen one Sebastian Maniscalco bit, and it was on Comedians in Cars, and they just show a clip. And I was like crawling on my hands and knees laughing. Yeah. And then this is like what we were talking about earlier. I just never watched more. Yeah. I was always just like, I get it. He's hilarious. Okay. Yeah. I hate watching stand up on TV because I just feel like it loses so much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll watch him tonight. But like that one, it was the bit about on Comedians in Cars about company when you're a kid. Yeah. Someone rings the doorbell and you're excited.
His physicality is incredible.
Like, get my sword. Yeah. And I remember being like, it's the hardest I've ever laughed in my life. Yeah. And then I wasn't like, let me watch the rest.
I remember when I first saw him when I was like first getting into stand up. I went to the store to like watch, and I didn't get it for like the first 2 minutes. I was like, what is this guy's deal? And then I got it, and it was like the hardest I've ever laughed.
No, he's very funny. Sorry for yelling into the microphone.
Oh, good, dude.
I'm on.
It's East a chill Coast, vibe.
I'm on East Coast time still. I'm all wacky.
Let's get some listeners' cues.
I met Bobby Kelly yesterday. Best skin in the game.
Beautiful skin. Beautiful lips. Yeah.
Crazy, incredible.
Really nice lips.
I saw him on Zoom, and I was like, "Is he using a filter?" See him in real life. It's like, holy shit.
He's glowing. He's a beautiful man.
Does he play drums? Or is that fake?
A little bit. No, he plays drum. He learned to play. He was in Dennis Leary's show, Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. He was a drummer. So yeah, he's a competent drummer.
Do you think stand up is more digestible? Maybe when it's on TV, it seems like more of like but when it's more digestible on YouTube, because it feels more like you're there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's so hard to pull off. I just think even the best specials lose so much, right? Because I think albums like are better than a special because it's like you're watching an audience watch a comic. Like you're not in the crowds. You're like removed from it. Yeah. And I always think like even like Bring the Pain or like the best specials, you're like, as amazing as this is, it was 100 times better in the room.
That's all I always think about. If I were to shoot a special, I feel like because you have bits that'll like crush in the room, but you're sort of like, it needs to be like a 10, I feel like, to translate to screen.
Yeah, and it's also because you're never capturing the best version of it. Like, this is great. Yeah. The special's good, and I did well, and I'm happy, but it's like, I was at the Funny Bone in Omaha 3 Fridays ago, and it was like unbelievable. And you're like, yeah, it's hard.
No, every comedian who like I love, every time I see their special, but I've watched them work it out, I'm always like, oh man, you kind of it wasn't quite all the way there.
Yeah.
I also feel like there's little things you do to a live audience to like keep them on board or to check in with them that doesn't play well on like a special where you want to have like the economy of words and like just have the ideas come through.
Yeah.
And it's like it's almost like it's different muscles almost.
I don't know. I'm like, I try to keep it. That's too special. I mean, I guess I did like half hours on Comedy Central and Netflix, but the two I did on my own, I tried to just have it be as like close to a regular show as possible, and hopefully it translates, which I think it does.
Did it feel different doing like where you were kind of like in charge of the production of it versus doing it for like a Netflix or a Comedy
definitely.
Central?
Yeah, because it felt just more like a regular like headlining show, where Netflix and Comedy Central were both like a series. It was like the half hour and then the stand up. So it was like there's other people there. I shot with 2 other guys. You're gonna like tell the material to somebody. There's like a bunch of people coming in and out. And
Is that weird doing it with other people? Like
Yeah.
they go up right before you and like you're both, it's this huge moment for both of you guys. And
yeah, it's completely different and weird, and it feels like this weird like factory produced thing.
I didn't like the way they edited some of them sometimes too. Not none specifically, but I've watched some where I was like, I don't know why they cut that way.
It's funny.
on it.
Just this morning, I was talking about with Ari Shafir about editing a special, and he was like, he used my Netflix special as an example of like, there's some really bad cuts in there, and I'm like, I never watched it, and it was years ago, so I don't care. But I was like, oh wow, okay, great.
I just remember, dude, my favorite from your new specials with the sign. You're like, you're talking about, you're like, you regret the sign or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that was genuine, by the way. Because they said that they were gonna recreate the Cellar sign, but with my name. So I genuinely thought it was gonna be the size of the Cellar sign. And when I walked in the room, I was like, this is crazy. It's insane. It was like 8 feet long. It was like 8 by 5 or something like that.
I think it looks great.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I thought it played well, but then you talking about it was really, really funny.
It was wild. And then I threw it in the trash. They were like, you can keep it. You have to come get it.
Yeah.
And it cost a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I can't have this in my home.
In your apartment.
It's just like, that's like insane. And I'm like, I have to get I have to rent a truck. And then people were really mad. Like, a lot of people were like, I'll buy it, this and that. And I was like, it lives on in the special. It served its purpose.
Right.
There was something I really found compelling when you were talking about going on the road with Louis and you guys had like a conversation about Chris Rock and you were being like critical of, like, not really critical, but you were just saying like he had one line about like the sky's the limit, the limit's the sky. And you were like, it sounds good, but it doesn't really have like a idea behind it that is like intelligible. And then, but what I really liked about that moment was that like Louis was kind of trying to big brother you and you were like, no, like I'm a good comedian. I have the right to like say these things.
Yes.
And so how do you, like, I find that sometimes too, where like, I know I'm not like at that level, but I have the aspiration in my head that if I think I could be, that's the only way I'll get there.
Right.
So like, how do you like balance being like confident in your own potential while still like, and being able to be critical of things that might come from someone who's farther along than you?
I don't know. That's like a deeper question than we just went deep. It's like a deeper question than I was anticipating. No, well so the bit was about, he says when you're white, the sky's the limit. When you're black, the limit's the sky. And even as like a teenager, I hated that joke because I was like, well, that doesn't make, those two things mean the same thing.
It's just
You're just
wordplay.
saying a thing that sounds like a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just I would never say that to Chris and
No,
be
of
like,
course,
hey,
of
you
course.
fucking, but I was just saying it. And then the thing that was crazy is that like Louis texted Chris and I was like, wait, what are you doing? I was like, I don't want to be this guy.
Right.
But to me, it was just a thing of like, I think that's like the best special. I used it earlier as like the example of like the best special, but it was just one joke where I'm like, that was just a trick. I mean, all of comedy, I guess to some degree is a trick, but you're like, that one I see.
He was just using the power of his like speech and rhetoric to like get the crowd like revved up, but it really didn't hold together.
Yeah, limits the sky and sky's the limit mean the exact same thing. So that's what it doesn't make any sense to me. And then it's funny, but sometimes I'll say this and people are like, well, it means like as a white person, you're not. I'm like, no.
Like, yeah, I got
I'm like, I understand the meaning.
Yeah, it's easier for white
I
people than black
understand
people. Yeah.
that, yes, it's difficult to be black. I understand that. I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying like, yeah, On paper, sky is the limit. The limit is the sky means the exact same thing.
Right.
You can just say, there's a lot of jokes like that where people are like, you know, oh, you're a fun age, 35. I'm a stupid age, 48. And you're like, well, you're just saying those two things differently.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any. There's a lot of people do bits like that where you're like, well, you're just saying it.
You're just saying something.
My name
funny.
sounds gay. Steven. Your name sounds manly. Michael. I'm like, well, I could do the complete reverse of that bit.
Right.
Michael. Sorry, I'm doing gay voice. I'm from the 90s.
No,
I'm
that's
gay
always
voice.
painful too, because the audience will love it. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Like I remember an ex one time. There's this one guy on a show I like disliked his comedy, nice guy, but we're driving home and she's like, "That guy was brilliant," and I'm like, "Babe, don't fucking say that. Like, come on."
Yeah, no, it's hard. And then you're like, should I argue? Like, is there
No,
any
you can't.
benefit to me, like, explaining to somebody that likes somebody that they shouldn't? Like, that's how I feel bad when doing, like, movie review podcasts sometimes. So if people are like, you ruined that film for me. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
That's what good critics do. You read like a Pauline Kael or Roger Ebert review, and you're like, "I was stupid. I never should have liked Back to the Future." Like,
Yeah.
they can tear the whole thing down.
Well, that's a bad example. That movie's brilliant.
Yeah.
But Usual Suspects, that movie makes no sense. Roger Ebert wrote a great thing about it. Like, narratively, it makes
Read the
no
Pauline
sense.
Kael review of Back to the Future. It's
I
like
hate Pauline Kael.
you don't like
I
her
loathe her.
because why?
She hated Raging Bull. She's like, Raging Bull sucks. And you're like, okay. I mean, come on. You
but
fucking
her writing
twat.
is really good.
Her writing's amazing.
Like
Yeah,
her
yeah.
words are
No, she's a great
she's
writer.
wrong on a lot of movies, but she'll say some shit. Like McCabe and Miss Miller, she's like, people walked around with headphones on even in the 1860s. Like just the way she could like make up an illusion, I'd be like, whoa, that's fucking powerful.
Yeah, no, she's a very good writer. But you're like, there's a few that you're like,
She's not a lot of fun.
Raging Bull, like Jaws. I'm like, all right, you douche.
Yeah, she was a douche. Not enough people say that. All right, gentlemen, I find myself in quite a troublesome predicament. My roommate keeps stealing my food. I live on campus with 3 dudes, but the other 2 are respectful homies with unlimited meal plans. This Weasley third roommate, on the other hand, has been caught red-handed sucking down spoonfuls of my peanut butter and taking massive helpings from my delicious jar of raw honey for his tea. And now he is elevated to swiping my snacks and turkey burgers. Now, my dudes, I like that this guy has a good diet. Now, my dudes, I have no qualms about sharing the wealth, but if this kid does not ask, he should not receive. When I inquired with a reason and level tone as to whether he had helped himself to a couple of my goodies, he denied it vehemently, as though I was crazy to even ask such a thing. I feel as though I have no other option but to sabotage my own food supply so that he takes it seriously. Perhaps a couple million Scoville units in the next batch of overnight oats, or some malic acid injected into my creamy Trader Joe's peanut butter. What are your thoughts on this? I don't want to stoop to this level, but he refuses to listen to reason.
You're looking at me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that feels so. The guy's just taking his food. I mean, that is. I don't like that.
Yeah, I had a buddy in college steal my orange chicken. I got orange chicken from Panda Express, and he stole it, and I was hungover the next day, and I couldn't eat it.
No, I remember having a roommate where I had like a can of Coke, and then he left $1. Like he took it and then left like $1, $2 or whatever. But you're like, right, but it's not the money.
Yeah.
I don't have a cold Coke now. I don't need $2. I need a cold can of Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the value goes up in that place.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So I think that guy sucks. I don't know what malic acid is though. Is he gonna poison
Yeah, he was
him?
throwing out some terms. I don't know. I'll give it a quick Google. Oh, I took that from Mark Norman. He
There you
says
go,
that. Yeah, he gives a big influence.
Malic acid. I just don't. Is he gonna like give him the shits or is he gonna kill him?
What does malic? Is sour and acidic.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so I don't think it's bad for you necessarily. In fact, I think it actually.
This guy seems to know a lot about
He's a smart guy.
dietary things.
Is malic acid good for you? This is kind of the perfect crime. Oh yeah, it helps with your energy levels, iron absorption, skin improvements, and better oral health. It just tastes like shit.
Yeah, that'll show him. He's just gonna look like $1 million.
He starts stealing more and more food. He's like, dude, I don't know what you sabotage the peanut butter with, but it's really boosting my overall feelings.
He's like, yeah, I'm like cut now, nice and lean.
Yeah, thanks, dude, for this. He Spider-Mans him. It's like Tobey Maguire in the mirror with the 6-pack.
I don't know. I wouldn't poison my own food. I would just try to assert myself more and say you're hurting my feelings.
I do that too. So I always think it's good to go sincere, right? And be like, hey, this is like I'm feeling taken advantage of. It's hurting my feelings. It's hurting our friendship. What do you do if he doesn't agree at that point?
Then I think you move out. I don't know.
Isn't that crazy? You got to move out.
Yeah, I don't know. Or you kick him out. I don't know the power dynamic in the apartment.
Yeah, maybe get the other guys on board. It is weird. He's only stealing his food too. Is he not stealing the other guys' foods?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure he's just going willy-nilly in there. He must be, unless he's... Are they just 2 of them?
There's 4 of them.
Mm.
And 3 of the guys are on meal plans.
Oh.
So they don't need the food. Oh, I guess they're eating at the cafeteria all the time.
Right.
Getting fat-ass burritos.
Yeah, I don't know. This guy sucks. To me, taking somebody's food is like really... I don't know. I don't know if that's top 10 worst things you can do, but it's closer to the top than it is to the bottom.
Top 3.
It's up there.
Yeah, I mean, just taking someone's food that's no good.
I think he should take his car and drive it until it's empty.
Oh, that's not bad.
Take all the gas.
All right. Jabwal Sultans of Stoke. I'm currently working in investment banking. Shout out to the pod for getting me through some heinous hours so far. And I'm planning on doing some adventuring once my time in banking is over. Still have 2 years to go before I jump to my next job. I'm befuddled on whether I should buy and convert a van and road trip across the country or buy a sailboat and sail the East Coast Caribbean. My dank girlfriend will be coming with and likes the sound of both. Growing up, I have been fortunate enough to do some great sailing trips and road trips, so third-party advice from the Stoke Lords is appreciated.
Dude, 100% East Caribbean
Yeah, 100.
sailing trip.
I'm with you, dude.
Yeah, that sounds amazing to me.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the other option. I mean, that's...
Road trip.
In a
Yeah.
van.
No.
Vans are cool, but I mean, if you're in the Caribbean for...
I mean, what kind
weeks?
of sail? I mean, like, is there... Can you come off sail and go on the motor a little bit? I mean, sailing's work.
But isn't it like that fun, like meaningful work where you're like rugged and like empowered by it?
I guess. Sailing can suck.
I've never really done it. I've done it on
Yeah.
like a little lake in like Montauk one time.
Do you know how to
work.
sail?
No, but I've spent times on sailboats. I lived on a big sailboat, a big schooner. I volunteered for like a week to teach kids to sail, and I was like a deckhand. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like the volunteer. So I was like, oh, look at me. I'm doing this too. You know, it was like, but it's work. I mean, the boat's tilting. You need the proper wind. It's like you can fall off the fucking thing.
Right.
Yeah, there's probably higher probability some bag could go down. I mean, car travel is dangerous too, but not like a sailboat.
Yeah, sailboat. But I mean, that sounds amazing. I mean, most sailboats, I don't know what kind of sailboat he's talking about. You can just throw the prop on and cruise on to the next location.
Yeah, you can
sounds
just
nice to
drive
me.
it.
Yeah, I'd go sailing.
I think going out into the open ocean too, when you're just at the helm.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any better feeling.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, yeah.
I think
the water's the
I think
best.
you should like put a treasure or have someone put a treasure somewhere in like
Yeah.
the Bahamas. Be like, let's go find it.
I like that. Yeah, go sail, get a treasure. Van.
All right, last cue. Greetings, Stoke Lords. Chad and JT were absolute legends, and your pod has been a source of inspiration in Stoke for several years now. I come to you with a conundrum that I've been mulling over for my 26 years on this beautiful orb. I genetically inherited an undescended testicle from my dad. To my knowledge, this hasn't impacted any part of my life besides being a stone lighter than most of the male population. But for my entire life, I've carried this shame with me and haven't told anyone, save my dank girlfriend of 5 years. I honestly don't know if my previous girlfriends knew about it, but my dank girlfriend immediately accepted my single ball syndrome. My issue is I've never told any of my friends about my lone nut, and I feel like it's too late to bring it up after knowing these friends for so long, some of them 10 plus years. If I were to bring up my wrinkleberry, how could I go about it? Should I find the next time we're all naked, maybe before a swim, and utilize the moment to point out my half sack, or should I hold on to this secret forever? Thanks for any advice, and if you think I should announce my lone cojones to the world, you can say my name. Otherwise, please keep me anonymous.
That's hilarious. I mean, first of all, this is to me, this is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, to have a secret. I'm not a secret keeper. I just say everything. The idea of knowing people for 10 years and being like, heads up, guys, can I just get the floor for a second? Check. I think he should reveal it like by mooning them, but bend over so you can see the dangling sack, like a from behind.
Right.
Or from the front and just lift the cock and reveal it. But I mean, to be able to reveal that this entire time I've had one ball, I feel like that'll kill. I think the place will go crazy.
And I think he's got a really. He only has one chance, or like you can only tell everybody one time that you have one nut. So I would wait for a huge party, like a 4th of July party.
Yeah.
Tell everybody to meet upstairs in 10 minutes. Get all 50 people up there, and then show everybody your one ball and make it as dramatic and as much of a spectacle as possible.
Should he declare a new nickname?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like Lone Ball Steve?
Or see what they come up with, maybe. I don't know, but I would tell it as a tale, like really, like a sea shanty, like really to present it, and then just be like, "Pa!"
Yeah, I like the goat one where he bends over.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
So
Nice touch.
in the shanty tale, is it like he lost it under dramatic circumstances, or is he using medical terms but in like more of like a Hemingway prose?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just from a kid. I was 13. I thought that. I don't know. But I feel like, by the way, he said some girls he dated didn't notice. I feel like my wife would know right away if I was.
And he's been
missing a
doing
ball.
naked swims with his homies, and they haven't noticed.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think he just still has skin there, and
Right.
I don't know if anyone's really checking out. Like
Yeah, I guess.
when I've gotten oral, I don't know if anyone's ever really checked for both before.
I feel like you'd notice, right?
I don't know.
I think you would. If you can feel a ball.
I don't know. Yeah.
A lot of male porn stars, because I think they take those shots in their penis to get hard, their balls start to like go back up.
Well, when you're gonna come, when you're like aroused, your balls get as close to your body as they can. Same with cold; they gotta be warm.
Right.
Right. They get close to the body for the heat.
I've had a ball go up into me during sex.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah, they get like tight, like what he has, but revert, and I have to kind of like
Oh, I've had
Oh,
that. I've
yeah.
had that, a little bit of that
Yeah.
little push down.
you gotta just kind
Whoa.
of go like, ugh.
Yeah, you
It's
push
really-
like in like the pelvic area.
yeah,
and it
yeah,
just
it's kind of
give
scary.
that pressure, and it
And
just
it's like bloop.
massages it down.
Yeah, I think I got a short cord or something.
Balls are kind of terribly designed.
Yeah, so vulnerable.
They're just hanging out there.
It's not good.
It's a good conversation starter for him. Because if you're at a bar and you're like, someone's introducing, they're like, this is like Steve, he has one ball. And you're like, whoa. And you're like, yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, like I said, like we're outwardly talking about herpes, and
Yeah.
that's like that spreads. One ball doesn't spread. He's not gonna fuck a woman and she loses a ball.
Right.
I've had good luck with not spreading the herpes.
My wife has never had an outbreak. If she has it, she's never had an outbreak. We've been having unprotected sex for years.
I was winking at all the ladies who listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So blow me.
All right. Well, we have one more segment. It's all right. We didn't prep you because we don't want to give people homework.
No.
You'll be out of here relatively soon.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm here.
It's we do a beef of the week, a babe of the week, and a legend of the week.
Oh, fun.
Chad, who's your beef of the week?
My beef of the week is with Disney. They're doing major price hikes on the tickets, and I like going to Disney. I'm not afraid to say it. I love going to Disney, and I think weekends now are about $700. If you want to do like
What?
for two people, if you want to go for like 1 or 2 days, it's like 700. It's like if you want to go for two, it's almost like $1,000, I think.
That's appalling.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's almost like they're out to make money more than make me happy, which I think is atrocious.
My beef of the week is with I'm just highlighting an international beef that I wasn't aware of.
Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah, did you hear about this shit? The fuck's going on over there?
It's insane.
To Vladimir Putin, take a chill pill, dude. Totally unnecessary.
Not cool.
Not cool at all, man. What's your beef of the week?
Wait, was that really it?
No.
Oh, I was like, did I just ruin
my
your
beef of the
thing?
week. It was did you know Belgians think they invented French fries? And because of that, they only call them fries there. They don't like it if you call them French fries because they think they were the originators of it.
I still call them freedom fries.
I had, hey man,
Yeah, fuck you, Belgium. You didn't do shit. You got the waffle.
And chocolate.
yeah, isn't that enough?
Do the French beef back and call their chocolate French chocolate?
Oh yeah,
That'd be nice.
Little name control game. I mean, I think at this point they already lost. Like, it's French fries. Just give it up.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not getting it.
It's
Like,
not coming back.
As a nation, they've just lost.
And I feel in France, even like most people, when I order fries, I usually say fries. So even
Right.
France is like losing. I'm never like, let me get some French fries.
Yeah, that's true.
So fuck both of them. I think America's number one, if you ask me.
Dude.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's hard to reach, but
But who's number 2?
I guess Canada.
Yeah.
know.
Who's your beef of the week?
I mean, does that have to be a person? Well, I guess Disney's not a person.
No,
Yeah,
it can be an
anything.
entity. It can
My
be
beef
whatever.
of the week, my beef of the year is Starbucks prioritizing mobile orders. I go to Starbucks. I like life. I like dopamine and serotonin and seeing people and looking them in the face and going, "Hey, how do you do? I'll have a tea." And then and then seeing the display case and being like, "You know what? I'll have a brownie too. That's looking nice." And they go, "Haha," and I have a nice back and forth. But now you do that, and then you wait 25 minutes because everyone's slaving over people ordering that aren't even there yet. And then there'll be like 25. Is that a mobile order? I see your coffee. I'm nervous.
I
it
postmated
was,
that.
Okay, all right. But there's like there'll be like 25 beverages just sitting there, and it's just me. I'm in the store looking at
Dude,
I'm
what
a
the
real
fuck,
life,
bro? Why are you coming at me like that?
I'm just a real life person. I
Yeah.
ordered a cup of tea, hot water in a cup. And they're over there making the super drinks for people that aren't even there. It's making me crazy.
Do you think you'll ever make the leap to doing it on the phone?
I refuse.
I love that.
I just refuse. Yeah. I'm not against mobile. I don't hate the mobile order people. This is a confusing thing when I talk about this. I get the mobile ordering thing. Chipotle does it right. Chipotle has a mobile order station and an in-person station.
Right.
And that's what everyone should do. They should have one crew working on mobile orders and one... So I don't have to wait extra long because a bunch of assholes in their car are ordering.
As a Bostonian, how do you feel about Dunkin'?
Well, I have a few unpopular Boston opinions. Like I like their donuts, but I'm a tea drinker, and they just have like regular like green tea, like Bill's green tea, whatever, just some
Yeah.
shit. And Starbucks has a nice Emperor's Clouds and Mist, and it's a really nicely done. And I like the not rapport. What's the word? The
Back and forth?
no,
definitely not what you were
I'm
thinking.
way off of my word. The ambiance,
Ah.
the vibe. Starbucks is like
You got the ambiance
it's
going?
nice. Yeah, they got leather seats and
Dude, Starbucks during the holidays? I
it's
don't know if there's
unbelievable.
anything better.
It is unbelievable. It feels like what I want my mother's home to be like.
They did a good job.
The red menus. And,
I went to the original when we were in Seattle.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
it's pretty cool. My friend, his wife, who's my friend, was there one time, and she was like, "Wow, this is built in 1918." And then we walked to the next place, and she's like, "This one was built in 1920." And literally, it was the third business in a row. She's like, 1922. It was the addresses. Like she thought each building had been built exactly 2 years apart, and it took
Yeah.
her like 3 buildings to be like, oh, okay.
Well, you blew my mind for a second. I'm like, wait, Starbucks was built in 1980.
Yeah, no, that's what she thought. I think it's 71. I'm a big Starbucks guy.
Yeah.
I'm there like 3 times a day.
Yeah.
It's a good spot. Chad, who's your babe of the week?
My babe of the week is rollerblades. I don't know if you guys are aware, but rollerblades are back.
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
Dude,
nice.
it's back. Rollerblading. I'm not, I was a big blader back in the day. I opted for the blades. I went to the skate park and got my K2s, and I was busting Royale grinds, and I can't remember any of the other grinds I did, but they were sick. Got in the half pipe, never busted air, but got some good stalls on the coping, and I'm just psyched that they're back. I'm gonna start blading again. I'm gonna get my Genkos out and just fucking rip. So,
Nice.
Joe, I feel like you blade.
No, never bladed. And it's funny because like in wrestling, blading is like when you slice your head open.
Right,
Like,
right.
you know, the
ECW
thing.
shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
you just start spraying.
yeah, you look at like Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, their heads are all fucking gnarly from cutting themselves.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking about. But no, I never strapped on a pair of rollerblades. I roller skated a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Same deal.
Well, if you want to blade sometime.
Yeah, I don't know that I could. I think the ship has sailed. I don't know.
Damn.
I'm nervous.
Damn.
Yeah.
I feel that too.
When you go to the retro roller rinks, though, and they don't have blades, it's like, what are we doing here, guys?
Dude, yeah.
My babe of the week is a root canal. I finished my root canal today.
Yeah.
Dude, wasn't that bad. Everyone talks about them like they're like the worst thing that can happen to you. I don't know if I went to a good doc or I got to it early, but it was a peaceful experience. I'm not even in pain right now. Didn't take any pain meds.
Did
I
they
feel
give you a
good.
shot?
They numb it up.
Right.
And they do a good job with that. And the numbing's not that bad. And now I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of amped on dentistry. Like it was fun.
Nice.
And I feel different being the person who, everyone hates it. So I'm like, I'm unique. I'm like, I like root canals.
So you're done. Like you have the cap on and everything?
No, I get my cap next week from my dentist. But I'm done with the new root in my back top left tooth.
Okay.
They showed me an x-ray of it. It looks fucking sick.
Yeah, I got a similar thing going.
These two strong, like, white spindles are just intersecting in there,
Yeah, I got that too.
keeping this guy. And I guess it's 95% success rate that you keep it for 10 to 30 years. At some point, it will fall out.
That's awful.
Yeah, it
didn't know
is,
that.
right?
I did 10 to 30,
In 95% success rate, it lasts that long.
but that's a huge window. It's a 20-year window. I mean,
I
it's such a huge
know.
difference between 10 years and 30.
But the next 10 years, I'm cruising. No concern.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, God, I thought they were just good. So like eventually gonna have to like pull that screw out of my head and I have nothing in there.
Yeah.
Do they do the whole thing over again or you just don't have teeth in
I
it?
think they do a tooth replacement at that point.
Okay.
You just get a brand new guy.
Oh, this is fucking me up. I got horrible dentist problems.
I
Fear. I just hate it. I hate it.
mean, it is weird that it's like a bone that comes out of your head.
Yeah.
And it is the first point of decay. Like
Yeah.
you kind of see what's coming down the line the most through here, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I'm also nose breathing now, so maybe that'll help.
Ugh, this is awful. I hated this. This whole experience was so wonderful, and then now I'm just worried about my root canals falling out.
No, dude, you're
It's
so
been 5
solid.
years.
You know what they told me? They said you're good.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, that's sweet.
Do you have a babe of the week?
Yeah, and now it's worrying me because I've Tommy John. You guys know Tommy Johnigan, wonderful
Oh, yeah,
comedian and writer now. But he brought me. I'm a big chocolate chip cookie guy. He went to this place. I think it's Milk Jar. In here in L.A. And he brought me like a nice box of half a dozen of them, and they're so delicious. And he brought me an extra one, like a cherry on top, and that's the only one I've had. So I have 6 cookies. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to go back and celebrate with a nice, thick chocolate chip cookie, decay my teeth a little bit. But it's literally of the week because I got one a day for like a full week.
Oh, that's
let's
awesome.
go.
Yeah,
You'll
pretty
wind up
pumped about it.
nicely.
Dude, nothing like a good cookie.
Chad, who's your legend of the week?
Dude, I might piggyback off that one.
Please.
Because my girlfriend made some Fruity Pebble cookies where it's like chocolate chip, but with Fruity Pebbles in there.
Oh, wow.
And I don't even know if she has chocolate chip, but they just takes like cookies with a hint of Fruity Pebbles. I'm like, this is amazing. But it's like a whole plate. And
Yeah, that's
I'm
something.
bad at resisting temptation. So I'm like,
I can resist anything but temptation. That's what Oscar Wilde said.
yeah, I'm like, take these to work. Because
You got to get him out of the house. That's the thing.
I've already had like 6.
If the sweet treats are there, no one can resist.
But dude,
it.
yeah, cookies. It's always good to, because I don't really drink that much either. I don't really drink, so it's like always nice to. I've desserts and stuff are a very good kind of reward.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you do your legend?
No, I'm gonna do it right now. My legend of the week is I played Trivial Pursuit. Great game. I hate board games. I was actually into this one. I like Trivial Pursuit. It's fun because it's more skill based. Like you feel like you're in control a bit more than these rando games where you're just like, I'm just fucking rolling dice. And I found out on a true or false. You might know this because you played water polo.
Mm-hmm.
True or false? Water polo players at the beginning when it started would actually be on top of barrels while they played.
Oh, dude, I have no idea.
True.
Really?
It was like polo, like where they're on horses. So they just converted it to water and the guys would be on
They would
barrels.
ride on barrels.
Yeah, paddling
Wow.
around. I had no idea.
Damn.
And I grew up around water polo players and this knowledge never made its way to me.
So the legend is Trivial Pursuit or water polo barrels?
Dude, I don't know, man. That's such a tough one to call. I mean, I guess I was trying to get both under that umbrella, but if you're really pushing me to make a decision, I'm going to have to go with the barrels. Trivial Pursuit's
Bring it
sick
back.
for bringing that knowledge to me, but just I picture it in my head and I get happy.
Yeah.
Dude, I played in the wrong era.
Yeah.
I'd use my
guys.
quads. Yeah, what the fuck?
jack dudes, big torsos, just
How do they move?
doggy paddle, bro, long arms.
Whoa.
I don't know. They might have had
You have your own row? Or your
I don't know how
own
you throw the
oar?
ball. Maybe you smack it with the paddle, polo style.
Paddle?
Wow.
Who's your legend of the week?
Boy, all I can think about is my root canal falling out.
I know. I really threw
oh,
you
dude,
into a
it
rut
It starts
there,
to
dude.
hurt. What happened? How does it start? How do you know? I just got X-ray. I just went to the dentist a week ago. They X-rayed and they said it looks good.
Oh, you're all good
I got
then.
like 4 of them.
I think my tooth started to break apart. Like I could feel it. Like I could stick my
Jesus.
tongue into it,
Oh,
and they
God.
still salvaged it.
Wow.
And you know what? I whenever I get anxiety about like future medical shit,
Mhm.
I always think they're gonna advance,
Great point.
the medicine so much by the time
Great point.
that you get there that it's gonna be like an easy fix. You're gonna have to go to like a drive-through and they're gonna fix
It's
it.
gonna be a
Well,
layup,
even
dog.
root canal, that's one of the things. Like when I got my root canals, the endocrinologist was like, yeah, he's like, all the rumor or the feeling of root canal is from like the 60s, 70s, 80s.
That's
the
Like,
thing.
it's not that.
That's why I wanted
Yeah.
to talk about it because it's like a boogeyman. But like the boogeyman's dead. He's gone. We're grown-ups now.
Can this be a legend? A hotel hot shower.
Oh yeah, that's a big time legend.
I know we're in LA, big droughts and the things,
Oh,
but
fuck it.
I'm in there 2-3 hours, just really letting it flow. I'll spread the old asshole and get it in there. I mean, I love it because in a hotel, like nobody, your wife or whatever, or partner's not like, hey, are you all right?
Yeah.
And I'm in LA. I got a lot of friends and pockets, so it's a lot of socializing. You go back and you just put the phone away and you get in
Decompress.
there. You let it blast you in the face, the genitals, the steam.
What kind of shower head? Do you like the one that's overhead, or you want the one that's at the traditional diagonal?
This is like the traditional diagonal. It's a little bit sharp. It's not exactly the way I like it. It's the one that's like there's only like 6 streams and they're like hardcore, like laser. So it's not the best, but it's very good. I'm at the Hotel Ziggy over across from the store.
great spot.
dude,
Nice hotel.
A lot of
yeah.
action
I-
over there.
I
A lot of
like-
movers and shakers.
Mhm.
I like when it's like a waterfall effect, but they also have the mobile one.
I love
you
the
can
handheld.
The
one.
mobile's
put
big.
that in your ass.
It's the only time my asshole's ever actually clean.
Yeah.
Because I put it right in there. Like
Oh yeah.
I penetrate the rim and just blast
Dude.
out the pancreas and everything. Just get it all cleaned out.
It's a
But
tough
yeah,
spot to reach.
Do you bidet?
hot shower.
Are you a bidet guy?
I am when I'm in Europe. I should get one. I've just never gotten one. But when
Yeah.
I'm in Europe, I love it. And it's insane that it hasn't been more readily available here in the States. We're behind on everything.
But we're still number one.
Yeah, as I said, we're number 1. I'm like, man, Europe really rules in a lot of ways.
But it's all one place.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, last thing we do a quote of the week. Chad, what's your quote of the week?
Usually I do movie quotes, but I'm going with more intellectuals now. Oscar Wilde.
Nice.
He's good.
He is good. He's funny.
Um,
Did you know he was gay?
I did.
there are only 2 tragedies in life. One is not getting what one wants, and the other is getting it.
Ah.
He had a. I'm gonna do 2 then. He had one quote where he said, "The tragedy of every man is that they don't change, and the tragedy of every woman is that they do change."
Mm.
Which I don't know.
That
Sounds
one.
right.
How do women
That one,
change?
I'm like, all right, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Wait, how do women
I'm
change?
like,
What is he
fine.
talking
It's
about?
almost like the Chris Rock. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sky's the limit.
Well, like I think he means guys stay immature and women get more sensible. Maybe.
Oh, right. They're not. Women aren't fun, is what he's saying. And
I think
that
he was,
agree,
and he's a
yeah.
gay guy, so he's covered on it. Like
Yeah.
he can
Right.
say it
Yeah.
without,
No.
the easy accusation of misogyny.
Yeah. If he's saying women are inferior, I'm behind it. I'm like,
100%.
yeah, dude.
I thought he was talking about their looks.
Right.
I was like, damn, dude, that's hard.
All right, my quote of the week is from the movie The Edge with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. Strider, frequent guest of the pod, often references it. What one man can do, another can do. Who do you think's got better dialogue, Sorkin or Mamet?
I hate Sorkin.
I could see that.
I hate him.
Thank you.
I think he is
Pompous.
just horrendous. In fact, I watched A Few Good Men on the plane because it's on the way. I watched it so many times when I was a kid, so it has some, but it's some really, really bad dialogue. And that's like his best bad dialogue. And Mamet, I love Mamet.
You're a baseball guy, though, right?
Yeah. Moneyball, I love.
Moneyball.
But Moneyball, he's like a co-writer. There's like 3 writers, so he's in there. Like
Steve Zalen was on that one.
and there's a couple moments in there that you're like, oh, there's Sorkin.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the best thing with his name on it, I think.
I heard a description of Moneyball that is, yeah, he hates Moneyball.
hates
It's
it.
like our favorite movie.
I do have beefs. My main
I wanna
beef
hear them.
is the lack of mentioning Barry Zito.
That's his
and
main
Tim
beef.
Hudson
And Mark Mulder.
and,
right?
and Mulder. I mean, like it's
Are we
like well,
about
they
to be
have
best friends?
they
That's
have
his main
3
thing.
like aces that just aren't
It's
mentioned.
in the book. There's no space for it in the
Yeah.
movie.
and they just don't no mention of it. Also, they don't win.
No.
No.
So you're like,
Still haven't.
right? They didn't win though.
But I've heard I heard this described the other day on like that Rewatchables podcast. They said Moneyball is about unhappy men in a room trying to succeed. And I was like, that's the kind of movie I like. That's what I'm all about.
No, there's some great things. I mean, I also think there's things that drag towards the end of the movie. But I think I love Brad Pitt, and there's a lot I love, and I love baseball. So it's like fun baseball. Is
Yeah, how can
happening.
you not be romantic about baseball? What's your legend of the week?
Um,
Or quote of the week.
Quote of the
rather.
week. I mean, I'm on the spot here, so I'll just say something that we talked recovery a little bit, and I dropped this in a meeting the other day, and it got like, whoa,
It's a good feeling.
great feeling. I didn't come this far to only come this far.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, that's a fun one. That's a fun one with showbiz or recovery or spirituality, whatever it is.
Is that a
you know?
Joe List original?
No. I have no good quotes original, other than like shit in the I suck. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a fun one. But I dropped it, and people were like, "Oh, shit." Like you could see people like looking back, like who said that?
Yeah.
I was like, "What's up?"
I remember there's one guy I went to a meeting and he's like, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to get what you always got.
Yeah, that's not. If nothing changes, nothing changes. That's another.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
one.
when the same words are in there on the second
Yeah.
part, it's a little bit like the rock thing.
Right,
But
but if nothing changes, nothing changes. I can explain. It's like
Mm-hmm.
if your behavior doesn't change, the results aren't going to change. Whereas sky's the limit, limits the sky. There's no.
it
I will
doesn't-
die on this hill.
It doesn't develop the idea any farther.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Further.
Neil Armstrong fucked up. His sentence doesn't make sense
Mm-hmm.
because he should have said mankind. He says, he should have said a man. Sorry.
Right.
One small step for man.
Which means all men anyways.
Which means mankind. One giant leap for mankind. He should have said one small step for a man.
Mm.
So
One
why do
gi-
you think we let that pussy off the hook?
I don't know. He's kind of a bitch for saying that. I
Dude,
think. I mean,
tell
somebody
me about
should
it.
really. I think I've heard somebody
you, dude.
say
Thank
that
you
the
for doing
audio cut out, but I'm like, I don't think so. I think he just misspoke, which is a bummer because I would be laying in bed in my 80s being like, "Fuck."
Dude, that's my new beef. Neil's a puss.
Yeah.
Well, and we don't believe in the moon.
Yeah.
Oh, in the moon
it's-
itself?
It's a fake alien satellite.
Oh, I love that. My friend Dan Belger is a great comic, Boston comic. He had a thing. He's like, you ever get so high that you think the moon is a gas station? And he's driving, and he's like, this place is gonna be huge. It's really funny.
That's right.
Well, before we go, you said, Louis, when you were talking about the Chris Rock joke, he texted Chris. Did Chris text back?
He did text back, and I think, like, I don't want to mess up his word, but he kind of admitted that I had a point. He's like, yeah, he's like, it is just I think he called it something like an attitude bit.
Yeah.
Like, it is a bit that it's like, you just hit it and it works. He's like, yeah, he's not wrong.
Right.
And I don't begrudge him. As a teenager, you're like, I figured it out. Same
Yeah.
with like the Man on the Moon thing. Not Man on the Moon, but One Small Step for Man. I remember like realizing that and being like, wait a second.
Well, Chris Rock also said that there's no lactose intolerance in sub-Saharan Africa, but actually there's the most lactose because he said because they don't have much food there, so people can't be choosy. But they didn't have domesticated cows there, so it's actually the highest rate
Oh,
of
interesting.
lactose intolerance.
No kidding.
So this guy's fucking up left and right.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, he's a comic. It's like my friend made me laugh one time, a comic. He was talking about, a lot of comedians have jokes about rap lyrics being silly. And I used to have one too. When I first started, I had a bit about Snoop Dogg saying it's 2 a.m, my mama ain't home. And I was like, why is Snoop still living at home? Doesn't that get in the way of pimping hoes and clocking a grip? But my friend, years later, my friend was like, yeah, he's like, that's not hard to like, he's like, these are like teenagers rhyming words to a beat.
Yeah.
Like they might say something a little silly. It's like it's not hard to like pick apart a rap lyric.
Right.
Like they're not like saying like here's what we have to do with
They're still the man in the
trying to,
arena
like,
putting it
rhyme
out
things,
there.
like, yeah. And then sorry, one more thing I'm just keep adding
Go, baby.
is I heard someone do a bit one time about the I think it's an Eazy-E lyric. He's like, today was a good day. I think that's Eazy-E.
I think it's Ice Cube.
Oh, maybe it's Ice Cube. And he's like, I didn't have to use my AK. And the guy's like, what? That's your idea of a good day? But I'm like, but I think that's the joke he's making.
Yeah, he's saying that my
That's
life is
the
so extreme.
Point. Yeah, yeah. Not joke, but like he's making a point.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like in the hood,
That's a good day.
a good day is like a day you don't have to use. You're not like, I got him.
Yeah, that guy's really showing his like the ease of his life by trying to criticize
Right,
Ice Cube. He's
You're
like,
like-
I'm a huge puss.
You're like, what? And lastly, sorry, I keep adding.
Go, baby, go. This is fun.
Louis had a bit or story about. I think he told this story on that Talking Funny about very similar thing. A comedian that had a bit about like the Jetsons, where he's like George Jetson. He's like, why is this guy so upset about his job? All he does is press one button. And then Louis had the point like, well, that's his bit. Like that's the Jetsons writers joke. That is a joke on the show. Is that like in the future you won't have to work. You'll just press a button and it'll still be horrible.
Like, mind-numbing and
Like-
awful and soul-crushing.
Like you're acting like you're making an observation about how stupid the show is, but the show is actually smarter than you are.
And you're so
They
dumb that you
made
now
that
think you're
joke.
smarter than the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's where we're at culturally across the board right now.
That happens a lot. I tweeted on election day 2016. I was like, Trump is such a narcissist. I bet he votes for himself. And most people got the joke, but a lot of people were like, they all vote for themselves, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I know that. I don't think that Donald Trump should vote for Hillary Clinton. That would be weird. I understand. Anyways, sorry, I said too much.
I could see myself being like, being like, you know, it's kind of what you were talking about. Where you were like terrified of when the flight attendant thought your shirt was Elvis.
Yes, yeah.
You guys would be like, I could see myself be like, oh, I feel like I should vote for the other person,
Right. So, yeah.
just so they don't feel bad.
And it's good karma.
Yeah.
It's like the movie Election. That happens in the movie Election.
Yeah, Chris
One of the great-
Klein.
one of
He
the great
votes for
films of all
Tracy
time.
Flick.
Yeah, yeah.
That is one of the best movies ever. And
It
none
is.
of those actors have ever been better. Like, that's the best Chris Klein performance, best Reese Witherspoon, best Broderick performance.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. Underrated in that I think it's one of the best. I think Alexander Payne made two of the best movies of all time, Election and Sideways. And then he made a bunch of stuff that I
Why
don't
don't I
love.
get Sideways? Why do I just find it to be a mindless bummer when I like sad movies?
I don't know.
You don't
I feel
know
like
me
we
well
I feel like we really had something and you just severed it at the very end. Between the root canal and Sideways. I don't know. Give it another try, maybe? I mean, it's really, really brilliant.
I'll watch it again.
Yeah, it's unbelievably funny. And
Yeah, we did
poignant.
have some. We were going to leave on like a real high note of
Yeah.
like common ground.
Yeah, no, Sideways, Election, incredible.
And then what about his later stuff like The Descendants?
PU. That's what I say. But I mean, he made two of the best movies ever. To me, if you make one great movie, you're a great filmmaker or writer.
Agreed. It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
But
People
you're
shit
in-
on Kevin Costner. I'm like, he's amazing in several things.
Dude, it's crazy. Waterworld's actually kind of amazing. The Postman is kind of amazing. Like the reach of them is what's incredible. Like he's swinging for the fences every time.
It's a great line in Cable Guy. He's like, I don't know why everyone hated it. I saw it 6 times. I loved it.
That movie ruled when he's in the
Yeah, satellite yeah.
screen.
You watch Yellowstone?
No, I never saw it.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah,
You
I'll
would
check
like it.
I should check it out.
Yeah, it's good.
Costner, good guy.
Yeah, great guy.
All right, well, we matched up. We're good now.
Yeah, we're back.
All right, well, Joe, thank you so much for coming. We're huge fans, man. It was an honor.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
thanks.
pleasure.
Yeah, thrilled.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Oh no,
Plug
to
all your
plug,
stuff.
yeah. So, do you want to plug?
Yeah,
Movie
my latest special is called This Year's Material. It's on YouTube. It's free. You can go to it. Go to my channel. Subscribe. There's another one called I Hate Myself. Watch that also. Don't bother. Subscribe if you want. That's on Comedy Central. I don't care if you subscribe to Comedy Central, but subscribe to my channel. This Year's Material is the latest one. And if you want to watch my movie, 4th of July, Louis C.K. and I co-wrote it. Stars a bunch of comics. I think it's good. Many people do not think it's good, but I do.
No, I love them, but yeah, you're special. I love it also. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. This is great.
Thanks. You didn't read the reviews, did you?
I read a couple of them came right to my inbox.
Oh, dude.
So, but the national, one of those papers, a conservative paper, said it was the best movie of the year.
Let's go.
What was it? Oh, I think it was like the Wall Street Journal. Not like a crazy right wing.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's a very reputable.
No, it wasn't like.
That's actually my go-to paper.
It wasn't like Alex Jones or anything. Yeah, I think
This is the best movie. I gotta you gotta go see LouisCK.com.
Yeah. So yeah, one guy thought it was great.
Nice.
Many people thought it was great. I don't want to shit on the movie.
I think your specials too are so rewatchable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So they're great. So everyone check it out. And the movie's so funny.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
This is great.
If you need advice, these guys are real.